Los mandatos formales. Los mandatos formales. What do you think a mandato is? What's a mandato? A command, right, exactly. What is a command anyway? Even in English, what's an example of a command in English? Sí, muy bien. Gracias, Caroline, to tell someone to do something. But what's an example of a command in English? Stay in your room. Go to your room. Leave me alone. Don't talk to her. Don't study. Go out with me. Or make your bed, clean up your room, heat up the pizza, please. All these things are commands. Study more, etc. Get a job, get a life, etc. Have a good day. Those are all commands, and we use them all the time. So now let's distinguish, identify why they'd be called mandatos formales. What, Salud, why are they called mandatos formales? See, Imani?
If you're talking to like someone older and you don't want to be rude.
Sí, excelente, which means you'd use the usted form, right? If you're talking to somebody older, you want to demonstrate respect or to be cordial, or somebody you don't even know, you would use the usted form, like a tourist in Charleston that doesn't speak English, and you're telling them where to eat. You would say, don't eat at this restaurant, go to this restaurant. That would be a formal command, because you don't know that person very well, but you're speaking Spanish to him and you're telling him what to do, where to go eat, where not to go eat in Charleston. And then, so that has to do with formality, but it's also culturally, like in Costa Rica and Colombia, they don't use the two form. They only use the usted form. Even parents with their children use the usted form with them. So it's also cultural as well. And, you know, I always say when in doubt, use the usted form with Spanish speakers. They'll use the two form with you if that's how, you know, the kind of relationship that they have. But I always rule with them, use the usted form initially. So when would you use ustedes? And is that cultural or is that formality? What's up with ustedes? It's a little different, not so much in the grammar, but its meaning and its usage. What does ustedes even mean? When do you hear it? At the beginning of every Spanish class. I say, buenos dias, ¿cómo están? And my verb están is in what form? Ustedes, because who am I talking to? Y'all, exactly. How are y'all doing today? ¿Cómo están ustedes hoy? And I use the ustedes form because it's just you plural. So it doesn't have anything really to do with formality, even though these are classified as formal commands. It has to do with y'all, unless you're in Spain. They use vosotros. And you've heard commands throughout the semester. The whole entire semester, I've been telling you all to do things. Put away your books and your materials. Get out a pen or a pencil. Before every test, I've been using commands with you. Saquen un lápiz or una pluma, por favor. Pongan todos sus materiales en sus mochilas. Tengan un buen día. Have a good day. So this is actually something you've heard before, but today we're going to officially learn it, and we're going to learn it in the context of being a messy college student. So, you know, people when they get to college, they don't have a parent or a caregiver telling them to keep their room neat and tidy, telling them to take out the trash, but I'm a mom, so today I'm going to tell you what to do to keep your, you know, lives, your homes and everything neat and tidy. And that's because I want to apply the vocab that we're concentrating on this chapter, household chores, things like that. So I want you to focus on the meaning first, but then tell me what's going on grammatically when we use a verb in its command form, when I tell you to clean up your rooms or to make your beds or things like that. So first focus on the meaning and then the grammar. Por ejemplo, estudiantes limpian sus casas frecuentemente. So what am I telling you to do here? I'm telling you all to clean your houses. Right, exactly. And this is a command because I just told you that's what we're talking about today. But grammatically, we can tell that it's a command because why? What happened to our verb grammatically? What's the infinitive of limpian? Limpiar. So what happened to this verb when I told you to clean your houses? The ending changed. It's an AR verb, but our last two letters are EN. So what's the difference between asking you all like, ¿limpian sus casas frecuentemente? And I use the verb with an and the ustedes form. Do you all clean your houses frequently? And you're like, no. So I say, limpian sus casas frecuentemente. And now I'm telling you to do it. It's a command. And we can tell it's a command by the way it's spelled. Por ejemplo, estudiantes, no ensucien su ropa cuando comen. So the last verb we had was limpiar, to clean. What does this verb mean? I'm telling you not to what? What's ropa? Clothes. So don't what with your clothes? Don't get your clothes dirty. Muy bien. So limpiar is to clean, but ensuciar is to get something dirty. Ensuciar. Very simple, similar to an adjective we already know. If something's clean, we say está limpio. If something's dirty, we say está sucio. No? So limpio, limpiar, sucio, ensuciar. La forma del verbo. Ensuciar. What happened to this verb? It changed just like limpiar. No? Ensucien. So now I'm telling you not to do it. So again, commands can be when you tell somebody to do something or not to do something by simply using the negative word no. No? Okay. Otro ejemplo. Estudiantes barran el suelo después de dar una fiesta. Now what am I telling you to do? Sweep the floor. When's a good time to sweep the floor? After having a party. No? Muy importante. Está muy sucio el suelo, entonces barran el suelo. What happened to this verb? ¿Cuál es el infinitivo? Barrer. No? So now you can tell, I'm telling you to sweep. This is a command. I'm telling you to do it. Barran el suelo. Otro ejemplo. Sacudan los muebles cada semana. What am I telling you to do here? To dust. Right. To dust what? What are muebles? Lámpara, sí, sofá, sillón, furniture, ¿no? ¿Cuál es el infinitivo de sacudan? Sacudir, no, sacudir. So barrer was barran, sacudir, sacudan, no? So AR verbs like ensuciar, limpiar, change to limpien, ensucien, but here IR verbs change to an. Uno más. No se acuesten tarde por la noche durante la semana. What am I telling you not to do here? Don't what? What's tarde? Late. Don't what? Close. Don't go to bed late. Don't go to bed late. Porque el infinitivo es acostarse. So we can even use reflexive verbs like have fun, divertirse, no, or relax, relajarse. We can use reflexive verbs to tell people what to do and what not to do. When we use a reflexive verb and we tell somebody not to do something, our pronoun comes after the no before the verb, just like we're used to. And this verb is an AR verb, just like limpiar and ensuciar changed to en. But what else happened to this verb? The O changes to UE because why? It's a stem changing verb. What's another stem changing verb that we've seen before in Spanish? There's like 8,000. Tener, dormir, jugar, empezar. All those stem changing verbs have stem changes in command. So we didn't see them in the imperfect tense. No stem change in the imperfect tense. But all those other verbs that we saw with stem changes do occur with command. So don't forget the stem change. And the stem change is really important, and we'll see why here in a second, in terms of conjugating our verbs and our formal commands and how we do that. But just to review, this is telling somebody we want to demonstrate respect to, or maybe somebody we don't know very well, Or we're talking in Costa Rica or Colombia, so we're going to use the usted form, or a group of people, y'all, unless you're in Spain, where you'll hear vosotros. But back to the stem changing rule with verbs like dormir, tener, empezar, almorzar. When we make a formal command, we can't just say, oh, AR verb changes to E, ER, IR verb changes to A. Because why? We have to first go to the yo, because the yo form reminds us to do what? Stem change, right. Dormir, duermo. So I want to tell you to sleep more. You need to sleep more during the week. Somebody's not sleeping enough, duermo, drop the O, change it to the opposite of what you know. So then we apply the change. And this is actually a little rhyme that a student made up like 4 years ago in one of my classes, and I was like, I'm going to use that for the rest of my life in teaching formal commands to students. Go to the yo, drop the O, change it to the opposite of what you know. And going to the yo is very important with stem changes, and we'll also see some other changes here in a second. So we were talking about reflexive verbs, acostarse, and we've had other reflexive verbs this semester, divertirse, relajarse, which require pronouns. With usted and ustedes commands, we're just going to use the se pronoun, obviously, because we're not using, we're not learning to commands or nosotros commands, so we're just going to use those. But I can tell y'all not to tell me something, or I could tell you all to put it away or clean them, por ejemplo. And when I replace words with it or them, then I'm going to use object pronouns, or he or she or me or you, por ejemplo. And when we do that, our grammar is definitely affected. Por ejemplo, limpianlas frecuentemente is telling you to what? Not clean your houses, but clean or them. Right, exactly. Pronoun. And what happened to my pronoun when I used it with a command and I'm telling you to do something? It gets attached to the end of our verb conjugation. So we have our command, and with that command, it's attached on to the end. Have you ever heard like levántense before? Maybe a Spanish professor in the past. I may have said it this semester, so it's not necessarily the first time you've heard it. And when you hear levántense or cállate, have you ever heard cállate? That's a to command. That's telling somebody to be quiet, or cálmate, or relájate, or relájense. Those commands, when we tell people to do something and they have pronouns, they get attached to the end. And what happens to the command when it's attached, when it has a pronoun attached to the end? So we change our ending, we put our pronoun at the end of the command. What else happens? Accent marks. So I want you all to figure out these accent marks are coming in the command, because there's a consistent rule to it that's not necessarily super obvious in the beginning. But before we focus on the accent marks, bárrenlo is saying what? What's it saying? Bárrenlo. Lo's referring to what? The floor, and we're saying it. El suelo, lo. No? So we have lola, los, or las, depending on what we're talking about. Las casas, las, el suelo, lo. And we still have our command, barran. So now we're saying sweep it. Because a lot of times when somebody tells you to do something, especially household chores, they have to tell you more than once. Take out the trash, take it out. I'm sure growing up, somebody told you to do something more than once, and when we do, we use pronouns a lot. So pronouns are used a ton with commands, and when we do, they get attached onto the end of the verb. But also, we need to have emphasis, because now we're increasing the amount of syllables, so it affects the pronunciation. Sacúdenlos is saying what? Dust them, right? Los referring to los muebles, masculine plural. But now our accent mark is in the middle of our verb. When the first two ones, you may have thought, oh, you just put it on the first vowel. But now we see it coming in the middle of the verb. So see and figure out where these accent marks go, because there is a consistent pattern. Acuéstense temprano durante la semana is telling you to do what? Opposite of wake up, but go to bed, right? Go to bed. I always think of coasting into bed. Go to bed when? What's temprano? Early. Go to bed early during the week. No? So reflexive verbs. Diviértanse. Have fun. Diviértanse. Have a good time. Or relájense. Relax. Acuéstense. So not only do we see our accent in the middle of the verb, like sacudan, but we also have two vowels. So how are we supposed to know where these accent marks go? What tells us where the accent marks go? First of all, these are all commands telling somebody to do something with pronouns. So when we attach the pronoun, we know we need an accent mark. But what's consistent about the placement of the accent marks so that we can figure out what the rule is with accent mark? Where's the accent mark coming in the command? Well, that's why, it's important to remember our stem change, and we'll talk about where it falls when we have vowels coming together. Does the accent mark come on the end of our command? No, so it's definitely not coming on our ending. Where is it coming in relationship to the ending? Not the last sound or syllable in our verb, but where? Yeah, the one right before that, the second to last. So, limp yen. This is our second to last syllable. So, why don't we just say, oh, limp yen? Why don't you just say put it on the first vowel? Why can't we just apply that logic? Right, because in sacudan and acuestan, it's not on the first vowel. We're thinking from reverse, from the end of our verb, where we have our ending, and it's going to go on the syllable before that. What happens, obviously, with the syllable, it goes on our accent or on our vowel. But what we were noticing earlier is when we have two vowels together, how are you supposed to know which vowel gets the accent mark when you have two vowels together? Repeat that. No less. Wait. It could be. Does anybody else know, where does the accent mark? I'm going to refer to question words because question words were presented in Spanish 101, and all question words have accent marks. So this is a question word, and we talked about this word this semester. K means, what does K mean? What? Without an accent mark, it's a connector, like that. That's what we were talking about in chapter 9. But with the accent mark, it means that it's a question, meaning what? And the accent mark goes where in this word? Over what letter? The E. In quien, we talked about quien this semester. When it doesn't have an accent mark, it's a connecting word, who. Like Professor Zabi, who's my Spanish teacher, is amazing. But when it's a question, it has an accent over the E. So with these vowels, U's and I's, we can conclude that E is a strong vowel, just like in acuéstense. When you have vowel combinations with E's override. They get the accent mark. And also, we have other question words, not with the letter E's, or qual, or quantos, or quando, which are all the same. Does anybody know which letter gets the accent mark in qual? Because we had this word this semester. It goes on the A. So E's and A's are strong vowels. So when you have those combinations, those are the ones that get the accent mark. And we only do accent marks when we're telling people to do something with a pronoun. So it's a very specific use. We don't want to always do it. So when we have a pronoun and we tell somebody to do something, it's called an affirmative command. When we tell them to do something, it goes after the command and the accent's on the second to last syllable. But what about when we tell somebody not to do something? Like in this one. Don't get it dirty. Where does our pronoun go? Before it. Do we have any accent marks? No, because we're not changing the phonetics of the word. We're not adding more syllables to the word. So we're just going to maintain what we've always known, the rule of just pronouns go before the conjugated verb in Spanish, except for when we're ready to do something with a pronoun. So when it's negative, it just goes in the front, and we don't have to do anything to our verb. Okay? So now let's practice those conjugations on your boards with pronouns. We're just going to see these because that's kind of basically what we did. Los irregulares, can't escape them. We always have irregulars in Spanish, but the good news is these irregulars, for the most part, are very logical. Clase, ponga la mesa antes de comer. What am I telling you to do here? Set the table. Now, ponga. ¿Cuál es el infinitivo de ponga? Poner. No? Clase, haga la cama después de levantarse. What am I telling you to do here? Make your bed. No? ¿Cuál es el infinitivo de haga? Hacer. ¿Qué tienen en común? Hacer, haga, poner, ponga. ¿Cuál es la forma de yo de hacer? Hago. ¿Cuál es la forma de yo de poner? Pongo. ¿Cuál es la forma de yo de tener? Tengo. Y salir. Decir. Digo. Entonces, todos los verbos que son regulares en la forma de yo, que tienen el, sonido go, son verbos irregulares en forma de mandatos. Diga la verdad. Tell the truth. Decir, digo, diga. No? All of our verbs that are irregular, that's why you have to go to the yo. That's why that little rhyme, go to the yo, drop the yo, change to the opposite of what you know, will help you remember the go form of these verbs. Diga la verdad, haga la cama, oiga la música, ponga la mesa, salga con sus amigos, tenga paciencia, traiga el pastel, venga a la boda. No? Fácil. And then we have gracias. And then we have verbs that have a spelling change. ¿Cómo se llama ella? ¿Cuál es su nombre? Cecilia. No? What happens to the letter C when it's next to the letter E or even I in Spanish? It makes a S sound, right? Cecilia. ¿Cuál es el infinitivo de saque la basura? El infinitivo es sacar, which makes a hard C sound, which is why when we make it a command, we change it to QUE, saque la basura. So you can't just go to the yo, drop the yo, and then change it to the opposite of what you know with this verb, because we need to maintain that hard C sound. Have we seen anything like this before this semester? Sacar or buscar en la forma yo del pretérito. Same phonetic rule. If it was SAC in the preterite tense yo form, AR verb, yo form, letter E with an accent mark, it wouldn't be pronounced. It wouldn't sound like the original verb. So this is just applying what hopefully we already know. But remember, we're telling her to do something versus I did something in the past tense. The context is completely different. This is the same. Okay, ¿cómo se llama él? Jorge. What happens to the letter G when it's next to the letter E in Spanish? Sounds like an H. So in order to maintain that hard G sound, we have to throw in that U. Pagar, pagué. No? And we saw this with yo forms of gar verbs in the preterite tense as well. Yo forms, but these are commands. Usted and ustedes. And speaking of commands, usted and ustedes, let's say Jorge is my friend. Why would I say su dinero if he's my friend? Why wouldn't I say tu dinero? Right, but it's an usted command, and I'm talking directly to him. I'm speaking in second person. I'm not talking about his money. I'm saying pay with your money. So why don't I say tu dinero? Because it's usted. Because Jorge is my friend from Colombia, and they don't use the tu form in Colombia. So I can't use anything in the tu form with him, whether it's a command or it's his money. Your money, su dinero. No? Okay, otro ejemplo. Empezar. CE and the stem change. So The preterite tense yo form of auxiliary verb is CE, but we don't have the stem change. Commands, we do have the stem change. What about the yo form of conducir? We saw this last chapter, present tense. Conducir en la forma de yo. Conduzco, which is why we go to the yo form. Conduzcan. Irregular. Estar is also irregular, but it's basically regular. The only reason why it's classified as irregular is that little accent mark. But it's an AR verb that changes to EN. Ir, though, is completely irregular. Bayan. And that's how it's pronounced, like with a B sound. Bayan. Which means what? What does bayan mean? Vayan a la fiesta. Go. Go to the party. Vayan a la fiesta. Saber, sepan. Kind of like preterite tense, but SEP, to know. Muy bien. Ser. How do you pronounce the command for ser? Sean. A lot of times, it's totally normal. It's hard because most of us are native English speakers. It's not Sean, and it's not si. Sea and sean, because we pronounce every vowel in Spanish. Sea paciente. Be patient. And ver would be what? Vean. So they're spelled the same, and their command forms are also very similar. Okay, chicos.